Orlando Cardinal Quevedo has been serving in Mindanao for decades now. He was a professor, dean, and later, president of Notre Dame University in Cotabato. He also served as the parish priest of Jolo, Bishop of Kidapawan, and Archbishop of Cotabato. Father Ramon Bernabe of the Oblates of Mary Immaculate remembers working with Cardinal Quevedo in Cotabato.
One particular project was when the Diocese of Cotabato was giving up a mission school, a school that wasn't making money for its own sustenance. We had to talk about the Oblates eventually assuming responsibility for the school. And for me, that showed his compassion for the indigenous people, because that school served a lot of young indigenous people. If you close it, they would not have any other opportunity to go to school. So he really worked with me and convinced me that the Oblates should take on that school.
I think part of the glory of Cardinal Quevedo is his Oblate membership in the Oblate family and the heritage of the Oblates of Mary Immaculate in the Philippines. I don't think people appreciate what a tremendous missionary work the Oblates of Mary Immaculate have done. No? They are the ones who worked in the Muslim areas in Mindanao since they came. And almost all of them who have worked in the Sulu, Jolo area, Archbishop Quevedo from behind the scenes has pushed with regard to the Muslim-Christian dialogue, what he calls the 3 levels of dialogue. The first dialogue is a dialogue of everyday life, which he has entered into very deeply with the Muslim students in Notre Dame University, and then as a parish priest and as a bishop. No? This day-by-day dialogue, in FABC it's called the dialogue of life. We cannot approach other people, get to know them in a sympathetic way, get to enter into their shoes and enter into their inside without just ordinary contact.
He exerted great efforts at teaching and facilitating dialogue at the level of grassroots communities. I think he found that really very important. While leaders are discussing forging peace agreements, Cardinal Quevedo emphasized that unless relationships among ordinary Christians and Muslims and indigenous peoples on the ground are harmonious, peace agreements won't really work. So he exerted a lot of effort trying towards that end.
Then the second level is a sharing of religious experience, because obviously in the Muslim-Christian dialogue, a very important dimension of all religion is religious experience. No? And then the third level is the more academic, more intellectual dialogue, which has to do with theology. Islam is one of the religions of the book. It has its Quran, no? And we have our Bible and our church teaching. So there has to be also an interrelation and to find many, many common traits. That and also the interrelationship for the creation of peace, which means that we have to get rid of prejudices, of hatreds, no? Of maybe that have been born from long history.
The Bishops' Ulama Conference is a forum for bringing together the bishops of Mindanao and of the leaders of the Islamic communities in Mindanao. When a conflict arises in one place, the Bishops' Ulama Conference can exercise its moral authority in that conflict. It can issue a statement, or it can influence people to take on the more peaceful path. He has established close friendships with the leaders of the Muslim groups. I think some of them are his own contemporaries. Okay, the leaders of the Moro fronts are his contemporaries, and therefore he has close relationships with them. And as I said, those are really very important. And he finds those very important, especially in times of crisis, when there's a conflict, and Cardinal Quevedo used his personal relationship with the leaders to be able to sort through those conflicts and difficulties.
And in all these works, whenever he assumed any particular position, he showed immediately that he had great gifts, intellectual gifts. He has a fine mind and a rather wide-ranging mind. No? He's a good writer, and mentioned in a moment, in the CBCP and in the FABC, he has done a lot of the significant writing, no? And then also his spiritual qualities of leadership, that people could see in him a truly spiritual person, very much dedicated to the church and the work of the church. And he's been a man of action. He's not a sort of a academic who's divorced from nitty-gritty of daily work. He has been a man of action. He has not been afraid to involve himself very much in the life of people, in the life of students, to listen to them, to do much listening. In so very many ways, he has exercised a very quiet leadership, which is strong intellectual and also spiritual dimensions to it. So for all these reasons, we are honored by his accepting the Bukas Palad Award, because he has given us a real example of what being not only Bukas Palad but Bukas Puso has been.